only way that this ends is when we, the people, decide it ends. And for me, I've had enough. Hello, all those beautiful faces. How we doing? Stephanie checking in with another episode of Class Disruption. And I know it's been a while since I posted a video over here. It's so good to be back. Welcome. It's so good to see your beautiful faces, and welcome to all the new beautiful faces that have subscribed. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to start making more videos for this channel again. I've been making a lot of content over on Teachers for Open Schools, and I'll link that right here so you can go check those conversations out. A lot of great conversations we had over there with educators from all across the country on their experience getting back to school or their reservations about getting back to school. And we're just trying to keep that conversation going as more and more schools are opening up and educators are getting back to doing what we love to do. But I'm back on here. I'm going to be making videos more regularly here. So if you haven't already, smash that like button on this video. And if you're new here, one of those new people who I didn't mention before who hasn't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button right down below so you can get notified every time I drop a video, and we can keep this conversation going. On this channel, I do content that's related to education, usually in the news and political space. I also have conversations with educators, and I'm actually going to be starting a new show where I have conversations with non-educators, both about topics that are specifically in education and non-education topics, but from an education perspective. So a lot of good stuff coming. Let me know where you checking it from in those comments down below. What kind of content are you looking for? And hey, do you want to have a conversation with me? I'm always looking for cool people to chop it up with and to get new perspectives on things that are going on, especially in the education space. In today's video, I wanted to take some time and reflect on this past year. That's right, it's been a year. And full transparency, a year ago, this is about the day, it wasn't Wednesday. I remember on the Wednesday before everything shut down, I went to Chick-fil-A. My son, he was playing in the play place. I remember a lady was telling me, oh, my school shut down in Norwalk, district near us in Connecticut. And I was like, oh, no way New York City will shut down. The schools are too important. Too many kids rely on them for a safe space, for meals. And then I was watching the news, seeing everything come in. And then the next day I started to get real nervous at school. I was like not wanting to touch things. I was trying to stay away from people. And then Friday I called out because I was like, yo, this is getting too crazy for me. I need to take a step back, assess the situation. And I was on Twitter calling for schools to shut down. I made videos about it. And maybe it was the right thing to do that. Maybe it wasn't. But it certainly wasn't the right thing to continue doing in May and June and then into the next school year. Here we are, 1 year later, and millions of kids across the country have yet to see the inside of a classroom, have yet to meet their teacher. Kindergarteners who've never stepped foot in a school at all, right? I know some of my high school students left in the middle of their junior year, and they're not going to see the inside of a school before they graduate, right? Those kids are not going to make up what they missed. Kids who are at those really important developmental periods for literacy and math, right? Kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. Those are key time periods for acquiring that information. Your brain is primed for them at those time periods. It is very hard to make those missed developmental periods up. And there has been a lot of research out there to confirm this. It's not that we don't know this, right? We have evidence from other big disasters in the world that shows these kids who missed out in school, they miss out on potential earnings. They miss out on potential life years. They're more likely to have drug issues and depression and all of these life outcomes that are not desirable, are not the whole reason why we have public education in the first place, right? We know these things, and yet here we are 1 year later. And now I am happy this last couple of days. I have been more happy than I've been in a while, because finally, New York City high schools have a date, right? Our elementary schools have been back since before Christmas. In mid-February, our middle schools went back. And finally, high schools, we have our date, March 22nd. So I am happy, but I'm not satisfied. Because even though schools are open, they're not really open. In New York City, on any given day, there will be 30, 40, 50 or more percent of the school buildings that have been shut down. And I'm going to get into more details about that, but that's why I will continue to fight. And that's why this Saturday, March 13th, I'll be rallying with school districts all across the nation to let our politicians know, to let our leaders know, to let all these anti-schoolers know that this is not acceptable. School is essential for our kids. It's what we pay for through our taxes, and anything less than 5 full days is not acceptable. So join us. Right? In New York City, we have our rally at the Tweed Courthouse in Manhattan. And like I said, all across the nation, there's going to be rallies. So I'm going to link that information in the description down below so you can link up with your local rally. And if you don't have one going on, we're going to get you organized real quick and get something going, because we have to hold our leaders accountable. This is not acceptable. It's like I said, here in New York City, they say the schools are open, but they're not really open. They use this thing called the 2-case rule to shut buildings down. So every week, they mandatory test 20% of students and teachers. And you can only attend in-person school if you sign a waiver saying, yes, the government, the school system can test me. So they're being coerced into this in order to get their education. So that's a number one issue, right? We're testing healthy people, and then we're closing down entire school buildings if there's 2 unlinked cases. And in New York City, this is especially egregious because most of our schools are co-located. For example, my school building is in a building with 5 other schools. And we don't really have any interaction with those schools. You have your place in the floor, like we split a floor with the other building. I have been over to the other side, to the other school, a handful of times. And so we're bubbled off from each other. But if there's 2 unlinked cases, boom, shut it down. And they've been taking 2-3 days sometimes to decide that. And so your shutdown doesn't start from when you were shut down originally. It shuts down from when what do they call it? It shuts down from when the situation room makes their determination. And sometimes there's randomly extra days added on. They don't count weekends. None of it makes sense, right? Everybody wants to follow the science until the science goes against what they want. And then on top of that, in New York City, we have an 8-foot social distancing requirement written into the rules. So this severely limits the number of students that we're able to welcome back. And it's the reason that the mayor hasn't offered another opt-in period. That's right. The only students who are allowed to come back to the building are students whose parents opted them in way back in November sometime. And the situation has obviously changed immensely since November. Case rates are down. We have a vaccine, and a lot of the teachers have been able to access that vaccine. So to say that parents shouldn't get another window to opt their student into school is just absolutely ridiculous. And so many school districts from around the country are dealing with their own set of ridiculous anti-science rules that are preventing their kids from getting the education that not only they deserve, but that is their right. And they're not just going to give it back to us. There's too much money in all of the testing, right? Down in, where is it? It's in Tennessee, $18 million contract for testing, right? There's too much power that has been given to the governors, to the mayor, to the unions, to the media. And they're not just going to give us back 5 days a week in person, formerly known as school. We have to take it back. And so I implore you all, say no to anything less than 5 full days. Say no to mass testing of unsymptomatic kids. Say no to all of these ridiculous rules that keep our kids out of school, keep our kids from getting their education, keep our kids from fulfilling their highest potential, because a bunch of adults are either so scared that they want to hide behind the kids, or they're just so power and money hungry corrupt. We cannot stand for it. They are not going to give it back to us. It's on us to take it. So join us March 13th, rally across the nation. If there's not a rally in your district, or maybe your district is back but you want to show support for us, there's several online events occurring. Again, I will link all the information down below. Leave a comment, hit me in the DMs. I'm super active on Twitter these days. You can also find me on Instagram. So we got to keep fighting. They're not going to give us our rights back. And also importantly, keep yourself together, right? You got to stay strong. I have my bad moments, right? But that's why you got to link in with a strong group of people. So if you're looking for a support group, if you're looking for some people, definitely reach out to me. There's so many people who are fighting this fight day in, day out. So many resources, from actual things that are going to help you protest and what's the word I'm looking for? Advocate and, get into the conversation and get in front of these politicians, to just that social, emotional support that we all need as humans. So keep out there, keep fighting the good fight, because the only way that this ends is when we, the people, decide it ends. And for me, I've had enough. So keep fighting the good fight, and of course, keep your head right. Stay foolish, y'all.